So I have two little girls. I talk about them a lot. Y'all probably know that. I have Nora, who's 6 now, Amelia, who's 2, but she's about to be 3, and it's breaking my heart. I'm not okay with it. The alternative, though, is not good, so I'll take 3, like a champ. Matt and Daniel and I are the epitome of birth order, I guess, birth order psychology. If you're not familiar with birth order psychology, supposedly the order in which we're born in gives you some kind of revelation to our personality types. I think it's hogwash. I really do. If they were right, why am I the only one going bald? And I'm the youngest. Matt's got a full head. Full head of hair. Y'all saw him. If they were right, why am I the only one going? I take half of it. Half of it. And I'm the youngest. Matt's got a full head. Daniel's the tallest. They both have musical talent. I have none. And I'm the youngest. That song that we sang this morning, you're supposed to clap before it. And Matt said, or Becky said, hey, Caleb, we need you to clap. And I was like, you don't need me to clap. It would be bad. It would be bad. And then Matt and Daniel are like these great musicians, and everybody, it's so funny because when people know that my brothers are Matt and Daniel, they're like, oh, so what do you play? And I'm like, nothing. I talk. That's it. That's what they used to tell me, Miss Diane. Matt said they found me in a trash can and I was green and I was going to die in like 2 weeks, and I believed it. I believed it. I was the youngest. I was the youngest of the brothers, and, birth order would say that I'm going to be a certain way, and I don't feel like I am that way. Maybe I am. The youngest is always supposed to be like wild and all this kind of stuff. I feel pretty tame. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel pretty tame. It's funny though, because it's like infiltrated our culture to the point where, I was talking to somebody the other day and they were like, well, we're both the oldest sibling. And I immediately said, whoa, y'all are not supposed to be married. 2 oldest are never supposed to be together. They're fine. They're happily married. So I think birth order psychology is a little nuts, but it is what it is. And then you get into this thing with kids where I am right now. They have learned that the world is not fair. So we'll do something and Nora goes, well, that's not fair. And I said, you're right. So I do what a good dad says, and I said, the world is not fair, so get used to it. I hope you've heard that in your life. If you have not, there you go. Take that bit of wisdom, and you can call it a day for the rest of the sermon. The world is not fair. Kids don't like to hear it. It doesn't matter your birth order. The world is just not fair. If the world was fair, though, it would probably be fair in a way that we're not ready for. Today we're going to be still in Luke. So if you want to go ahead and turn there with me, Luke 15. We have been marinating in Luke for the last several weeks during this Lenten season, preparing our hearts and our lives and our spirits to receive the gift that is Easter and to celebrate the resurrection of the Lord. And we're going to spend this time learning Christ's teachings. And we've just been kind of marinating in Luke since. And we're in that little run where we get to talk about parables, which is my favorite because parables are everything. That's how we learn to be who we're supposed to be. So, Luke 15. Today we're reading one of the most infuriating parables that is known to man. You will understand why in just a moment. Luke 15. We're going to do something weird. We're going to read verses 1 through 3. And then we're going to jump down to 11. Okay, so we're going to go verses 1 through 3, and we're going to jump down to 11. Luke 15. Now the tax collectors and sinners were all gathering around to hear Jesus. I'm going to take a quick pause. The New Living Translation has way better of a translation here. It's just because it's funny. It says, the most notorious sinners. I love it. I love it. Notorious does not get used enough in our language, so I thought I'd throw it out there. Now, the tax collectors and sinners were all gathering around to hear Jesus, but the Pharisees and the teachers of the law muttered, this man welcomes sinners and eats with them. Then Jesus told them this parable. Now we're going to jump down to 11. Jesus continued, there was a man who had 2 sons. The younger one said to his father, Father, give me my share of the estate. So he divided his property between them. Not long after that, the younger son got together all he had, set off for a distant country, and there squandered his wealth in wild living. After he had spent everything, there was a severe famine in that whole country, and he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out to a citizen of the country, who sent him to his fields to feed pigs. He longed to fill his stomach with the pods that the pigs were eating, but no one gave him anything. When he came to his senses, he said, "How many of my father's hired servants have food to spare, and here I am starving to death? I will set out and go back to my father and say to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Now make me like your hired servants.' So he got up and went to his father." You know, he's practiced his speech like 1,000 times on the way because he has to walk. He doesn't have like a car. So he's practiced it like 1,000 times when he gets there. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion for him. He ran to his son, threw his arms around him, and kissed him. The son said to him, "Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son." But the father said to his servants, "Quick, bring the best robe and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. Bring the fatted calf and kill it. Let's have a feast and celebrate. For this son of mine was dead and he is alive again. He was lost and is found." So they began to celebrate. Meanwhile, the older son was in the field. When he came near the house, he heard music and dancing. So he called one of the servants and asked him, "What's going on?" "Your brother has come," he replied, "and your father has killed the fatted calf because he has him back safe and sound." The older brother became angry and refused to go in. So his father went out and pleaded with him, but he answered his father, "Look, all these years I've been slaving for you and never disobeyed your orders. Yet you never gave me even a young goat so I could celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours who has squandered your property with prostitutes comes home, you kill the fattened calf for him." "My son," the father said, "you are always with me, and everything I have is yours. But we had to celebrate and be glad because this brother of yours was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found." Don't you just know that he's the youngest brother? Yeah, come on now. It's okay. So the setup of this story is essential. Luke, again, I just really want y'all to understand, just because this is an old book doesn't mean that Luke is not a brilliant writer, because he is. And I try to tell y'all that every week so that you will appreciate the beauty of what he is doing and the intent of what he is doing. It's not an accident that this story works so well. He sets up this dichotomy of the most notorious sinners and the Pharisees and the teachers of the law. So you have the unclean and the clean, the unholy and the holy, that are here listening to this story. So then he proceeds and he tells the story of the lost coin, which, we didn't talk about because, it's kind of a redux in the lesser of the two parables. But then we roll into these two brothers. These two brothers, one who is holy and clean, and one who is unholy and unclean. He wants you to remember that, and he wants you to realize how far the youngest has fallen when he reminds you he's feeding the pigs. Don't forget, pigs are unclean in the Jewish world. They're unclean. You don't touch pigs. You don't get around pigs. He's feeding the pigs. He's intimately involved in the pig farm. Not only is he feeding the pigs, he longs to eat with the pigs. Disgusting. Have you seen pig slop? It's gross. It stinks. We always go to the mountains on vacations, and they have the little ranger station, which we go to, and they have this little pig pen to show how farmers raised pigs. It's disgusting. Pigs are gross animals. Okay, I'm just going to tell you. They're delicious. I love them. But they are disgusting animals. The brother stays home, though. He works. He's diligently managing the father's estate. Who should we root for? The one who stays home. Come on now. Yeah. Who do we want to identify with? Well, obviously the prodigal, because you get to go home and party. You get to go live it up, and then you get to go home and still party. So you party on the road, you party at home. It's the best of all the worlds. It's okay, guys. Loosen up. This is the truth. But we want to identify the prodigal because we want to see the beauty of this story. We want to be a part of the beauty of this story. What Luke is telling us, though, or what Luke is trying to point out to us, I believe, actually I know, is most of us in this room are the older brother. Most of us in this room are the ones who stayed home and worked. Most of us are the ones who have been faithful. I think we all are prodigals at some point. But after you've been there a while, been home for a while, you forget that you were a prodigal. I get angry at this obvious younger brother. Not only did he ask for his inheritance before the father was dead, which is incredibly insulting. That's a sermon that most of us have probably heard before. This is beyond just like, hey man, can I have some cash to go and see my friends, go on a summer trip? This is literally, I don't care that you're not dead, but just give me everything because I don't really want to be with you anymore. So this is literally one of the most insulting things this kid could do to his dad. His dad has raised him, worked hard to create a future, a home, a living for this kid. And he says, I'm good. Actually, I'll just sell my part and I'm going to leave because, he goes to what I picture is the modern day Vegas, right? Because, he goes and parties it up. Could you imagine? And then imagine you're the one who stayed home. So let's keep this narrative moving. Let's stay at home where we're the ones who are at home still. We're the ones who have tended the farm, who have continued to provide for our father who's getting older, who now we have to take care of. Not to mention everything that's left is going to be ours one day. All of the land, all of the production, all of the wealth that is still in the estate is now ours because he took his cut. This is my stuff now. This sapsucker comes home. Dad's up there on the hill while I'm slaving away in the field. He's up on the hill watching for him and then goes and runs out after him. Takes my fatted calf, because let's be honest, Dad's old. It's about my time. Takes my fatted calf, doesn't even invite me in, and kills it. For that sapsucker who went and wasted his money and all of our stuff on booze and whores. Pardon my language. It's what it is. You should feel angry. I feel angry. Does this ever happen to you in your real life? It's happened to all of us. Let me just tell you right now. It's happened to every single person in this room. You know what we do? I'm going to show you what Nora does. This is not fair. Not fair, Dad. I can see Nora walking up to this guy. This is not fair, Dad. You're right. This is not fair. I hear this parable and I think so much about the workers in the vineyard. The workers in the vineyard is another parable where this guy, he needs help in his yard, basically. He needs help picking his fruit. And he goes out and gets people. And then he says, I still don't have enough folks. So he goes out and gets more people. This is like later in the day. Then he goes and gets more people. And by the end of it, he gets somebody who's only going to work like an hour. And then he pays everybody the exact same. This is infuriating. Who is this guy? Right? I am the youngest, but I think I identify with the older brother more here. I think probably a lot of us probably do as well. This is supposed to be a God of justice, right? It's supposed to be a God of justice, making things right. This doesn't sound like justice to me. Now, I hope I've made you angry. I think on the surface, when we read this story, and especially when we read the setup of it, we know we were all notorious sinners at one point or another. We may not have been for a while. We may have gotten ourselves together and moved back home and worked for our dad and done what we're supposed to do. But I think we were all notorious sinners. Actually, I know we were, not think. I know. You may still be a notorious sinner. I don't know. But after a while, when we get into the Father's house, as we work in the yard, when we do the things that we're supposed to do, we start to get angry because it's like, man, you keep waiting on the hill for these folks. Like, what about all those down here who've been slaving away? I preached one of my most angry sermons ever. I was probably like 2 or 3 years, probably 2 years into Prattville. And I was just mad at God. And I'll just be honest with you, I was mad. Katie and I were going through infertility. We had, if you've never gone through that, it's like you get crushed every single month. Like literally, like it's every single month. Like it doesn't let up. You go on this roller coaster of hope to just crushed. Hope, crushed. Not to mention they're pumping you full of like just chemicals that like you're just a weirdo during it and you're just like, there is no balance in your life. You are at the beck and call of this doctor who's like, all right, we're going to give you 4 shots a day. Just go ahead and take those home with you, shove them in your belly. I know you have no medical training, but stab your wife with this stuff and it's going to be okay. It's like, okay, she's already hormonal because you're pumping her up on stuff and then you're asking me to stab her. This seems like a bad move. And then as the husband, you try to be supportive and kind of that steady rock. But you're going through it too. And I had just taken all I could take. I thought, God, I'm over here trying to plant a church to build your kingdom. I'm not getting paid anything. This just sucks. Everything about this situation, I'm not even asking for anything crazy. I'm asking for you to give us what you give people in the Bible all the time. Just give us a kid. So I preached an angry sermon, and I was mad. I was the oldest brother in this situation. I said, you're over here killing cows for this guy, and I can't even get a goat. Just on the hierarchy of animals, I don't know if you've ever eaten goat. It is low on the list. You want to talk about gamey? It is gamey. I was angry. I didn't want to go inside that Sunday. I didn't have any desire to be a part of the system anymore. Because it's not fair. It's not fair. You know, we often want to put this story in the sense of people coming home and, becoming Christian again. I think we're all big enough to celebrate when people turn their lives over to Christ. I think we can get excited about that. But when we see other people getting blessings that we don't know that they necessarily deserve, I'm good with you being in heaven with me, but I don't know that you should get it this good. That's what this story is about. That's exactly what this story is about. These are the people of God. This is Israel that hath come to hear him. The notorious sinner is just something that we know, but these are the people of God, the Israelites, the Jewish people. They have been chosen just like the Pharisees. And the Pharisees are angry at these people, not because they're Gentiles, that's going to come later. Not because they're Gentiles, because you are the people of God and you didn't do it. I did. Why are you even invited to this table, for crying out loud? I have been living my life holding all of this back, trying to be faithful. And when the Messiah comes, he invites you. Why? Jesus' response is so beautiful. And I think it just cuts so deep. My son, the father said, you are always with me. Everything I have is yours. But we had to celebrate and be glad because this brother of yours was dead and is alive again. While we want to stamp our feet and we want to be mad because it's just not fair. It's not fair how much money and resources those other churches have. We're being faithful and we don't have enough. It's not fair when we see the people in our world who are doing so well, who have come by, let's just be honest, by greed and deception and all those kind of things. And we just grind and we can barely make it. But God says, you're looking at the wrong thing. Like you're so excited about that part. You have the beauty of always being around me. Like you've always been here. You've always been safe. You've always had food. You're not paying attention that he was literally eating with pigs. Not like figuratively. He was eating with pigs, desiring their food. Do you really think he's got it better? Just because I killed a cow for him? Come on, man. You've been eating good for the whole time. You got a warm bed to lay in. You got all of these blessings that I've just consistently given you that you're totally negating because I'm excited because he came back. Isn't that hard? That's hard to hear. That's okay, because it is hard to hear. It's hard for me to go back. I've gotten in the habit as I got a little older, and long story short, these guys make you do stuff, and it's annoying. As you move through ordination, they make you do all this weird stuff, like write down your testimony and keep a journal and all this. Like, it's like, come on, dude, I'm good. But then you figure out, actually, this stuff's actually a good idea. So I keep a journal now. I try to write down stuff. I write down my prayers. I write down what's going on in my life so that I can look back and say, oh, yeah, God has been moving in my life a lot. God has blessed me abundantly that I often forget. That's why he stands on the hill. It's because he can't wait to do that for the next person. He can't wait to build their life up. Let's celebrate and be excited, and then let's continue to build their life. And y'all can work together. Jesus did not come for the well. He came for the sick. We were all sick at one time, and he made us well. You may still be sick. He wants to make you well. But then let's get excited as he continues that healing, and let's remember the blessings that he has given. I preached that angry sermon, and I felt bad about it. I'm not going to lie to you. It didn't feel good. I got it out. I was mad, and I said it, and I was all right. And nothing changed. I was still mad, and I had said it, and all right. But I just shut my mouth. I finally was just like, whatever. I'm just going to be okay. God worked on me. And I will tell you, without any hesitation, without any holding back, God did a miracle in our lives. And we have two awesome kids. That doesn't mean that the people who struggle with it don't get some sort of miracle, because our miracle is not what everyone gets. And that's part of what this story is about is, hey, it's not going to look the same for all of us. And it's not going to be this, it's not going to be the same for everyone. But I am here for all of you, and I am going to bring you back and heal you and speak into you and give you life and blessing if you will be here with me. I love to tell that story. I've had so many other things in my life, but that was such a defining moment for me because I went from the point of being the brother who stood outside and said, forget it. I'll sit out here and I'll sit on the porch before I go in there because I'm done with y'all. So now I had to say, thank you for blessing me all of these years. Thank you for being a steady presence in my life, even when I wouldn't acknowledge that you were there, even when I wasn't thankful that you were constantly blessing me and constantly with me. Thank you for when you were always showing up, not just in big, spectacular ways, but in subtle ways where it's like, I've never had to worry about eating. I've never had to worry about where I was going to sleep. I've never had to worry about major health issues. All of these small little things that I didn't appreciate over the years all of a sudden became very present and very real and weighty. And I said, quit letting me be a Pharisee. Help me to move past that. Who are you in this story? Who are you? I think we play the parts over and over and over again. I hate to say that. I think that we get angry, we come back, we get angry, we come back. Because here's the fact. When I got angry at God and decided I'm done and I'm just going to sit out here on this porch, I became the younger brother. And God was glad to get me back again. I think we go between these pieces. But who are you right now? Are you pouting on the porch? Are you out feeding pigs, wishing that you could just get a little slop? Are you walking home, rehearsing a speech that's doesn't even need to be said? Who are you? Where are you? Jesus is infuriating. That's why they muttered. But he's also so full of grace and love that he reminds us, no. This is for you too. This isn't just for the notorious sinner, it's for you. Because what you need to understand is when you embrace me in my life and who I am, you are free from all of the bonds of, well, I can't do this and I can't do that and I can't be here and I have to look like this in order to be this way. All of a sudden you say, no, I am God's son or I'm God's daughter and I get to live on this estate with him. And I get to be free because I choose to be here. Lent is a journey. Lent is a journey that prepares our hearts and our lives for the beauty of Easter and the resurrection. We fast, like a literal fast. We quit eating or we quit doing certain things or whatever you choose to fast from. We fast to create margin in our lives to receive this. We fast to remind ourselves that it's not always a feast in our lives. And I think a story like this that ends in a feast is such a beautiful thing because it reminds us we all need grace. We all need the welcoming arms of our Father. We all need to be welcomed home. But we also need to welcome home our brothers and sisters as they come and be excited. Because we were once getting waited for by our Father. Let's all stand and pray. Almighty Father, the one who created us, the one who loves us so that he injected himself into our world, we come before you with open hearts. Lord, we pray that you will just fill us with your presence, with your love, with your grace. Help us to remember that if we are stuck eating the slop, that you invite us home to feast. If we are growing bitter at those who are more blessed than us, help us to remember of our eternal blessing. Lord, I pray that you will just change our hearts, our minds, our attitudes, so that we can look more like you, and that we can quit being bitter, and that we can quit feeling sorry for ourselves, and that we can be glad that we are yours. Lord, I pray that you will make our church the church that stands and does the work, but also gets excited as you bring your children home. Help us to celebrate. Help us to create the feast with you to celebrate those coming home. Lord, we love you and we lift you up. Amen. Can I give you guys a blessing today? Would that be okay? May God the Father bless you and keep you. May his face shine upon you. May he give you all the strength and sureness as you go this week in his grace and love. Amen.